Hey everyone, it's Southern Belle Canto. I have another book review for you today. The book I will be reviewing is the memoir From Scratch by Tembi Locke. This was a wonderful story. This was a 5-star read for me. It is a memoir about Tembi Locke and her life with her husband and her time in Italy. I will say that this book is really, really sad. So there's definite trigger warnings for loss of spouse, loss of a parent, as well as cancer and other things of that nature. So if those are things you're trying to avoid currently or things you don't want to associate with, you might want to skip this book because it does deal with a lot of loss. So this story, from the blurb on the cover, it says a memoir of love, Sicily, and finding home. And that is a perfect description of this memoir. It deals a lot with Tembi and the death of her husband, Rosario, who she calls Saro, and her time in Italy. So just a wonderful romance. It was really an invoking story about how Tembi ended up in Sicily. She says in her memoir that she started off as, I believe, an acting major, but changed her major in college to art history. And she had started up a relationship with a TA at her college, and I think it was for her Italian class. And he said the best way to become fluent in Italian is to go to Italy for a semester. So she took a study abroad program while in college to Sicily to study and learn the language. And while there, she met the love, one of her great loves, Saro, who was a chef. So lots of fun, interesting things. I absolutely love anything that has to do with Italy. And if you're also like me and love Italy and just the idea of being in Italy and things like that, you'll really enjoy this story. It had a lot of interesting people along the way, and like it is a memoir, so but it was very how do I say it? It was very novel-like. It wasn't written with facts. It was very lyrical. It told a story, which is really interesting, and I really enjoyed. It had lots of trials and sadness along the way. Saro has cancer, and it deals a lot with that, and his family doesn't accept Tembi at first because of, being from different backgrounds. He is a full-blooded Sicilian. She is an African-American woman, and his family had struggles with that at first, and her family also had reservations about Saro at first as well. He was, I believe, 12 years her senior, so she met him when she was about 21, so I'm guessing he was in his early to mid-30s. So that was, it can be a red flag for families as well. But both sides of their family, well, her mother's side of the family saw how true their love was, and later on in the memoir, we find out that Saro's family also sees that there is love in the household, and they should have been more welcoming at first. So definitely a great memoir about love, about loss, about overcoming certain losses in your life. Yes, it didn't dwell on sadness, but the first, I'd say, third of the book were very, very sad, and they could be very hard to read. I definitely would recommend having some tissues handy, but just a very good story. I find these memoirs to be very helpful if you're going through loss. I remember when my grandmother died, I was sort of in a reading slump, and I remembered back when my great-grandmother died when I was in, I think it was 6th grade. I was currently reading Ella Enchanted, and I have never finished that book, and I don't know if I ever will. I have bad memories with it. And when my grandmother died when I was in college, I wanted to sort of have books that would make me happy and think. And so I remember when I actually had 2 grandmothers die within weeks of one another. my grandmother on my father's side and my great-grandmother on my mother's side both passed within a few weeks. And haven't always been a reader, but I've been a reader since I really learned how to read, which was about 4th grade. And I just love books. And I knew I wanted to have something comforting to read during that time, and also something to help my brain think and declog. So the books that I read during that time of great sadness and loss were 2 memoirs about loss, and they were The Magical Years of Thinking and sort of the unquote unquote sequel, which sadly it shouldn't be a sequel, but Blue. And both of those are memoirs by Joan Didion. The Year of Magical Thinking deals with the loss of Joan Didion's husband, and Blue is about the loss of Joan Didion's daughter. And they were both of those deaths happened very quickly from one another. So those were very interesting books to read. And the third book I read around that time was a rom-com, and it's one of my favorites. I have yet to see the movie, and I can't remember the author. But the book and the movie is called What Is Your Number, or What's Your Number? And that was a wonderful romantic comedy, and I would highly recommend all of those books for if you're going through loss. The Joan Didions to help you sort of think and work through loss, and What's Your Number as a fun rom-com to help your brain sort of, decompress a little. But this was just an absolutely wonderful story. It was actually a Reese Witherspoon Bookclub book. It has the sticker here. But what is pretty crazy is this was a Christmas present that I got last Christmas, 2020. And my mom and I were at Dollar Tree, and we saw this at Dollar Tree, and my mom got it for me to put away for Christmas. So this is a Reese Witherspoon Bookclub book, hardback, perfect condition. I got it at Dollar Tree for $1. Not sure why, but definitely a great dollar spent. I absolutely love the memoir. It was very sad, but it, has a lot of hope, and I love to read about people and personal struggles. I know that sounds morbid, but I like to see how people have overcome certain things, and I think those can be really helpful in case those moments come again in your life, which sadly they do. But just a wonderful story. Definitely read this if you love memoirs. I know for some reason I don't love biographies or autobiographies, but I love a good memoir. I don't know. So if they market it as a memoir, I'm all here for it. So I definitely loved Eat, Pray, Love, and there's a few other ones I've read. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. I read so much. But, Eat, Pray, Love was a memoir, and that one in its own sense was also very novel-like. And this one also read in a very novel way. It was very lyrical. It didn't feel intrusive. It didn't feel too heavy. It was just a very lovely story about love, loss, and food, and overcoming obstacles. So I would highly recommend this book. It also includes recipes in the back, some of which are from her husband's Saro, and some are from her mother-in-law, and some are recipes that she remembers eating while in Italy during these times, and she composited them together. Tembi Locke is also an actor, so you can see her in over, I think they said 60 film and television roles. And at one point she mentions Bernie Mac, so I definitely want to see what she did on that, because I used to love the Bernie Mac show when it was on television. Well, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you're looking for a great memoir, I highly recommend From Scratch by Tembi Locke. Great story. It was a 5-star read. The spice was 0. There were no scenes at all of spice nature. There was a few mentionings of things, but other than that, no spice. So if you want a spice-free book, spice-free memoir, pick this one up. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye, everyone.